Yeah.
Let's do this, mate. Welcome to another episode of the London Something podcast with myself, DJ Ron. First, and as always, I'd like to thank you all for your continued support, because without you, we wouldn't even have a show here, to be honest. Thanks for everybody who's been commenting, subscribing, sharing, and all the general things. Like when I see you out, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, wicked, mate. And I really appreciate that, I really do. Big shout goes out to our sponsor, West End DJs, also been helping keeping these shows going. But enough of that. For now, we're going to get right straight into it. My next guest, I mean, some might class him as a newcomer, right? But for me, it doesn't make a difference. Big shout goes out to my boy Benny L. We saying Benny.
Mate, how you doing, man?
Nice one, Benny. All right, yeah? Cool. Benny, I've been seeing you around the spot a while. Do you know what I mean? You know, we're fellow gooners, right? So that started everything off, all right? But basically, I think you know the format because you said to me yourself, you know what I mean? You've been watching the shows and that, do you know what I mean? And I've seen you kind of like your ascension. For me, to be honest with you, I really feel like out of all the sort of like newer sort of like cats who are about and whatever, your name sort of like was kind of like one of the first that I started recognising. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously you had a massive record out quite recently, which we'll get, some time ago now, which we'll get round. But we'll get round to that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, first thing first, Ben, I just wanted to speak with you about like growing up and stuff like that, and like your sort of like earliest memories and things like that, really. Do you know what I mean? So tell me about your like some of your earliest memories.
I was born in Blandford Avenue, Beckenham, in '93.
93. I was up on stage drinking champagne at that time. Rewinding them times there, Benny, when you were getting born.
Yeah, basically. So I've obviously mum and dad and my brother. He's 10 years older than me, who introduced me to like garage and drum and bass, jungle, and he was going to the Croydon like record shops like Big Apple and Swag Records like every Saturday and bringing it back, and then I'll be going in his room and like hearing him mix in his room, and like, he'd have his mates around and stuff. So that was sort of that was me growing up.
It's interesting because as you're said you're being born in 1993, and at that time obviously that was like right in the heyday of jungle. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting that now you've come through. That's what you were brought up on. Yeah, you know,
pretty much, man. And I mean, I was the only one at schools that was actually like listening to like the tape packs and the tunes, and I think because everyone, everyone was into like grime and hip hop and garage and stuff, but not really like drum and bass or jungle. So
Why do you think it was that you sort of like more gravitated to that rather than?
I don't know. I like proper looked up to my brother, innit? So I just he was proper like, he's like cool to me. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, I remember when he first like played me like a tune. It was on I think like a train, and he had his mini disc, and then and it was like just listen to it in the train, and I was like, what are you listening to, brother? And then he was like, you probably won't like it. You probably won't like it. It's a bit too heavy for you. And then I was like, oh, no, go on. I was like, and I put it in. I was going mental in my seat, and I think it was like Nasty Ways or like the Ninja. So that was my first introduction.
So tell me about like your, like obviously you spoke about your brother and stuff and him introducing you to the music and stuff, but what about your sort of like just growing up generally? Where were you born?
Yeah.
What area were you from and stuff like that?
I was born at home in Blandford Avenue.
You were born in the house?
Yeah.
Okay,
under the coffee table, actually. I still got it. Like,
she's not throwing it out, your mum?
No, she hates it. She's like, I can't stand that. I can't really remember much really, really early on because I think in 99 I had a car accident and had a brain injury.
Oh, you
from
did,
it.
yeah?
Yeah.
You had a car accident?
Yeah.
Oh,
with,
really?
with mum and dad, yeah.
No way. Sorry to hear that, man.
So then after that, it was like I couldn't walk in a straight line, or like I had a slur. But yeah, I mean, it was just like starting again, really.
Starting all
like
over
before,
from
I was
the beginning,
like
yeah.
just like a normal kid. But then after that, I was just proper like, didn't really say much. Really slow at things and that. So.
And how was the rehabilitation with all of that? Do you remember how that went?
Yeah, man.
Did you have to go through it?
It's taken years. I'm still like, obviously, notice some difficulties I have now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't understand something firstly, or trouble talking, or I might say a story and it's all jumbled up. But but yeah, I mean, yeah, just after that, and schools just didn't really, like, they don't really cater for like ABI, which acquired brain injury. So they and especially like the normal like school setup, like, do you know what I mean? Because to like help kids, they obviously need to have funding and stuff to do it properly. Mm. So it's a long process to get help, sort of thing. Mm. But my mum's a primary school teacher, and dad's a carpenter. My mum, you know, she's always fought really hard with getting like support and help that I needed and that. But yeah, I was the only sort of early memory really would be just waking up in hospital, really, and see my dad in a wheelchair. He's not now, but he broke his ankle in the accident, and waking up, seeing the family there, just complete,
Wow.
Don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
How long was you under for? Did they tell you?
I was unconscious, but like my mum, they were conscious.
Yeah.
And I just like, hit my head, you know, between the two seats, just
knocking between
that.
The two
Yeah.
of them,
So my mum thought I was dead, really, because like the angle at my neck was and stuff. So
Jesus.
Yeah. So it was obviously hard time.
Yeah,
and,
I can imagine.
Obviously that's in a memory.
Yeah.
Forever. So,
but there were no, apart from like what you say, like every now and again you remember bits and, you know, like there's reminders, small reminders of your sort of like the challenges you've faced because of it. Then the rest of your family, they're fine now? They're all
they're fine now. It's just me really that had.
They had a major problem.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then that's handy then, because I mean, I suppose I say it's handy, but I suppose the fact that your brother there for kind of like you looked up to him, and I could only imagine, obviously not been in a situation like that. Do you get what I mean? But I could only imagine there, at least you had somewhere and something to kind of like warm to and grow into, because you weren't getting it from school.
No.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah. Probably, I'd imagine that a lot of your mates and whatever kind of like saw you different as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's more so secondary school than primary school, because like primary school, you're still really young and you might not
developed anyway.
So you're all about that. You're just kids not messing about and playing football. But yeah, I mean, but I was always like, you know, my mum plays violin, dad plays trumpet, and my brother played piano. So
wow.
So there was always music in the house, and
right, okay.
We had a piano as well, right, upright one. So so music was always the.
What's your heritage? What's your heritage? Like your family heritage?
Right.
Just English, or are you?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, I think my cousin done a DNA test, and it goes. I mean, there's some Irish, some German, some Scandinavians. You know what I mean? It's just,
a big mix. Yeah. Now, the only reason I asked is because when you said about the family playing the instruments and everybody was able to play the instruments, and I just wondered, I don't know, I seem to get like this feeling like...
I'll sing song in there.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like an Irish family, do you know what I mean? Everybody's in there, the old man playing the trumpet, the wife's on the thing.
It's funny you say that, because like, I think like a few like New Year's Eve like parties, like obviously like family, friends and that, like they'd play as well. So they'll bring it down and you have it.
Oh, that's nice.
So,
I like that. I like the sound of that. Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
sounds like it could be a lot of fun, you know? Yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, so I mean, so yeah, sort of like, yeah, growing up like when I was at school, so I'd be playing, learning, like having piano lessons and.
And this is post the accident, yeah?
Yeah, after, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I'll be, I play trumpet as well.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So then you had the accident, and although you had like the, you know, generally, you know, like it was a bit harder for you because of the brain injury. You were still able to learn piano, still able to learn trumpet and stuff like that.
Right and left hand was really always hard for me because it was like my right side of my brain that was affected. So yeah. And
I can only imagine that would have been treatment in itself. Do you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Very like proper therapy.
Exactly. Yeah. Because now you're forcing yourself to get the other side working.
Yeah.
So
that was.
So you could play a little tune then, Ben, if I brought a piano out right now, yeah?
Yeah. I've got a double.
I'm gonna have to get that on the socials, 100%. Vanta Black, piano version. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that it went down like that, but at the same time, it seems that, you know what I mean, you came through that, and luckily.
It definitely helped me, and it definitely helped me see things like making tunes, like, and also like woodwork as well, like my dad, like, and I really was into that. Like I wanted to do carpentry before I took the music route.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I was always into like making stuff hands on. So I just saw like, you know, like making sounds like sculpturing and saw it more physical rather than just audible.
Audible, that's really interesting.
So I just saw things in maybe a different way to others.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because I'll tell you this, mate. I mean, again, I don't want to rush into it, but when I heard Vanta Black, I was like, but I'd seen you. I was like, them two things don't go together. He don't look like the sort of guy. He don't look like the sort of guy that would make a record like that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we'll come to that. You know what I mean? But do you know what I mean? But now, you saying that just now about how with your dad, the carpentry, the injury, the brain injury, the rehabilitation, the therapy, the looking at, from your perspective, that you were building something physically rather than audibly. To me, Vanta Black was like a soundscape. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? It is like a soundscape. It could be out of Star Trek. Actually, Star Trek wouldn't even be fair because it'd be more like Out of June. Do you know what I mean? It'd be something like that. We'll get to that. Okay. So your brother is very instrumental in kind of like introducing you to electronic music then, and so what sort of records are we talking about then? Sort of like seminal records that you are kind of like going, oh, that was a wicked tune.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like, obviously Nasty Ways. Yeah, didn't enjoy like the Bambata remix that he done. Just remember the Lion sample, just Lion sample one. So, and just mostly Dillinger. That's his favourite.
I mean, I would tell you straight. Do you know what I mean? You know, like without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, there's a lot of people who've come before him and after him, but I could easily play a set of Dillingers from start to finish. Do you know what I mean? And I've got some records around the back that I know. Do you know what I mean? Heart the Rare. Do you know what I mean? I wonder if Dillinger's even got copies.
Lost in that.
Do you know what I mean? But that's a good schooling. That's good schooling. Yeah.
So and then but it was mainly like rather than actual like remembering two names, it'd have a lot of like sets that was recording, and I just literally I went on his computer and then put them on the MP3 player, and then go to school and feed
the wire.
Yeah.
How did you used to?
Oh yeah. So been you'd be at the table and up the
Up the arm, and then you just
and
lean
just
like that. And then like they're saying, yeah, this and the other. This time you're listening to man at AWOL, next man at Ross.
Got Matthew Swift.
Wicked, excellent.
But yeah, I remember. Frost. Yeah, Jack Frost. I remember one of my early memories of hearing the set and Ragga Twins with Jack Frost.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you what one it was, but yeah. I remember also I'd like MC convention recordings, X-Man.
Yeah.
Shabbing, Skibber, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just hearing all that going, yeah.
I got to get to these raves.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And also that was a time when, back then obviously I would have been about 10 or something or 11. So nowhere near that, nowhere near looking to go out.
Yeah. I mean, you know what's really interesting for me as well? It's like, imagine that. I mean, we had a laugh about it earlier, saying that you were born in the height of like Jungle's sort of like heyday. Do you know what I mean? You were born then.
Yeah.
And interestingly, a lot of our sort of subscribers and viewers and whatever, they vary. Do you know what I mean? Most of them are male, do you know what I mean? But we're getting a lot more female. But a lot of them are kind of really interested in that era, and so somebody messaged me recently, and I said to them, no, it's not about old school. Do you know what I mean? It's about people's stories, including people who have helped kind of like shape where we are today and help continue carrying it. And so to think that you were being born while that was happening, and then you're like now, you know what I mean?
15 years later.
Do you know what I mean? You know, like you're a brand name now, Benny. You get what I mean? So. You know, I mean, when did you start to kind of get into? Obviously, there's a big jump there, but like, when was it the time when you thought, you know what, I can produce, or I want to do something like that?
So I remember my brother he used to have Fruit Loops on the computer, and obviously just the family big old computer.
Yeah.
So he had Fruit Loops on there, messing about in there and making beats and that. So yeah, I mean that was the sort of earliest sort of introduction, but yeah, I mean it's all going a lot forward. But there was a little gap because he moved out I think when around 9 or 10 or something. So someone he took all his
stuff,
took
with
his
him.
decks in, all his vinyl with him. But I just remember I used to sit on his bed. And I just have all the finals on the bed, and they would just be playing, and I'd just literally pick them just because look at that, the artwork.
Yeah.
And I remember Good Rhymes, it had all the different pictures of all the different. I was always giving that one because I was like, it's got all the people in there.
And he'd play it for you.
Yeah,
right.
There's 3 minutes in drum and bass. There's 3 minutes in drum and bass. It's like, no, it can't work like that.
Yeah.
You can't don't play it.
So he's schooling you. Yeah.
And then I'll always be like, oh, come on, teach me. And then I was just like, no, you can't touch the deck. So that was my only little input.
Right, yeah.
So it was like, no,
that's quite sweet, Benny. You know that. That's sweet. Do you know what I mean? You've got a big brother who's kind of like, who started you off essentially. Do you know what I mean? You know, he must be pretty proud of you right now.
Oh yeah, he definitely is.
Yeah, he must be pretty proud of you. You know what I mean? And you got a good relationship with him, and I think that's important as well. To kind of like, he was there at the start.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
Man.
You know. And so he moved out, and then what happened? What happened after?
I mean, he's probably about, I think, it was like 19, so it was like 9, 10. Obviously, I still had all the stuff on the computer though, so I was still listening to it, but then I wasn't properly, obviously I was still like 10 or 9, so I was still like I was just listening to that for years, what was on that computer.
Yeah.
And, or like, if like a bit later on, I had of course, LimeWire, remember all that? Just trying to get, I was like, now I've got a lot to say about that, but back then, you're just kids in it. That's where you get music.
I mean, it's interesting that things have changed, like even in that short space of time. You
Yeah,
know what I mean, and the access to music and all that.
Now I'm making it. I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, that's not right.
Yeah, I know, because you don't want anybody to have it for free, but it's how it goes. Do you get what I mean? You know. So your brother leaves home. You know what I mean? You're still gagging for the music and what have you, and with what little you've got. So I'm sure that at some point or another, there must have been a gap between when you started making music to when your brother left. Do you know what I mean? What were you doing in between then?
Then I was still, this is only a couple of years after the accident, so I'm still recovering. It took years to actually fully recover.
Okay.
I'd have like absences where I'd just like stare into space. Like, it'll be in the middle of a conversation or doing something, and I'd just switched off.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So and I'd just be there for like a minute, just looking into space.
Yeah.
And also, like, my mum was, trying to get me help at school and stuff, and they were just testing me for trying to figure me out. So I was going a lot of through loads of tests as well, and literally years of just like, we're going up there to have this assessment or something, or down there and travel somewhere to do this. So it's just So that's all still quite fresh, and I was having like night terrors as well, where I'll just wake up and just be on the landing, like in the corner, like just pop out having a bad night terror, and so it sort of took a bit of like the security away, like the accident. I'd always like shout out, it's a back door with the windows like shut and stuff. So so that was still a big part then. Primary school and the start of secondary school, but I was always into football and music, and so that was me.
Kind of safe.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? I can see it in your face that, and I get it. Even though we're having a laugh elsewhere and we're speaking about the music and whatever, and now we've gone back to that. That was a lot of time taken up with treatment, and I can only imagine that. Because this is the fascinating thing about these talks. Whenever I have these conversations with people, it's like I just see them out on the circuit.
Yeah.
What's happening, mate?
Yeah,
Sweet, nice one.
Yeah.
Go on.
It's everyone's happy place.
And everybody's kind of like in this place, and it's like this like moment, isn't it? You know what I mean? When we all see each other, and then, but you just don't know what they've gone through. I mean, I don't know how many of your mates know that. But I'd be, rest assured, unless this has been documented elsewhere, I think most people are going to be as equally shocked as I am.
I've really not really talked about it. I think I've touched on it, but not proper gone in on it. But I've sort of not spoke about it a little bit, but then I want to speak about it, and hopefully there's like
to let other people know.
Out there that's gone through similar things. And
yeah, well, that's the whole idea about about it. Well, I say it's the whole idea. It didn't start off like this. This podcast didn't start off as I want it to be this thing that's going to help other people and all the rest of it. But it just turned out that when I was listening to like my peers and whatever and their stories, I recognise in it that their stories may actually help other people who actually feel that they're lesser because of something that's happened to them that wasn't even their fault.
No.
And that I think you're a perfect example. I mean, it don't get much. I mean, loads of things can happen to a lot of people, but head and brain trauma is what deals with everything in your body and your mind and your thinking and everything. And yet you've still been able to, with help, come through at the other end, you know what I mean? And we're sat here having a conversation. Do you know what I mean? And when I'm out, unless you'd have told me, I've never been with you and you've like gone like, just stopped and stared into space. I would never know.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had one of them for a good 10 years.
Oh, right. Well, there you go.
Over 10 years.
So that means that this rehabilitation, whatever it was, and all the various things, the music, the football, the help with your mum and everything, it's all kind of like congealed to kind of like bring you to where you are now, you know?
So that was about 9. And then, but yeah, I was also, then we went to church as well when there was a youth club there, and you know, like it's really like a good youth club. Like it was very good in communities and stuff. So there was still that like social aspect. I was still being life, a good but I might be a bit slow or different, but obviously it's like, you know, people I've grown up with and they know me through that. So but I mean, at secondary school, I mean, definitely got picked on, like, you know, like the teacher will ask you something and you would like taking half a minute to come up with something to say, or, you know, and I mean, through these tests, like dyslexia, like if you've got like a blue overlay over like the page, you can read, like, I don't know, help my reading 20%.
No way, really?
Yeah.
So what happens? I never heard of this before.
I know. So one like test was about reading, and obviously like terrible at reading. Like I literally just go along, and then I'd jump like 3 lines ahead when I was going back to there to on the next line. I'd be like halfway down the page and stuff. So but then like wearing having a blue film over the top of it with a blue background, not a white background, it helped 20%. But
no way.
And then you can get glasses with the blue. So I started wearing them at school. And then,
and then that made it even worse.
Yeah, I was John Lennon. So they went in the bin.
I don't want to wear them, Mum. I don't want to wear them. But they're good for you, Benny. I don't want to wear them. They're taking the piss out of me.
So I mean, all that was going on, and I mean, it's. I mean, I didn't want to go to school anymore, so I was just well behind, and music and playing football was the only release, and obviously being with my mates at youth club or wherever, then that would be the.
You know your friends who were at the youth club. Had they known you for years and years before? They knew you before the accident.
Yeah, I mean, there's
most of them.
I mean, there's like there's probably about like half of the kids were went to church on a Sunday with the family, and then but half like just was
hanging out
around the community.
The area,
do you know what I mean?
So they knew you had an accident, so they would have had, without realising it, they would have had empathy for you, knowing like, you know, Benny's had an accident. Oh, mate, and then afterwards it's like, he's changed a bit, but he's still our mate. It's not like, I mean, it wasn't even just picked up on. I just knew that you were a little bit slower maybe now and then. Well, it's not like you've got to do reading.
No, we're just playing about, playing football and
playing
pool. So like So my best mate Remy, who I've pretty much grown up from babies with. So obviously like he was, and he went to the same secondary school as me as well. So like from primary school, he was from different schools, from Penge. His mum's from Cameroon and his dad's from Grenada. So I was going around his house and having amazing food. And do you know what I mean? It's just when your kids like just soaking everything in, and that's
part of your growing up and part of your culture as well. I mean, it's interesting those times. You know what I mean? Because I don't know why it's not like that anymore. Maybe it is still like that, but it's maybe I don't live around there anymore. I mean, where I live in the block, I'm just like that anyway. I speak to the old people, I help them with their shopping. Do you know what I mean? I would do like things like that and say good morning to people and just try and keep that old thing going, like from back in the day. But I don't know whether it's still like that out there. Do you know what I mean? Anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's just, it seems like London in general is just changed a bit. It's you know, maybe it's just in
little
pockets, little pockets, community. So, but man. So no, it was like youth club was really good, and I mean, and school as well. You know, I mean, it's like kids from all cultures and backgrounds. So
I mean, it's interesting. Even you said about the youth club. Do you know what I mean? It's like you must have been right at the cusp of like the change where it just changed.
There's no
because there ain't
clubs
there
now.
anymore.
Nah, I think it was still Labour government back then, isn't it?
Yeah. So there isn't anymore,
Yeah.
and so that says a lot
Yeah, man, definitely.
to pointing at. Imagine that was a part of your rehabilitation. Do you know what I mean?
And also,
imagine that was a part of your rehabilitation. There's been no support at school. I could only imagine that happened to a young kid now. It'd be like maybe it might be 1,000 times worse than you.
Yeah.
You know?
Then definitely now because I mean they've so basically because I really wasn't doing well at school. Like I just the school weren't helping. There was no for my needs because it's not just like I've got dyslexia. I've got a lot of other aspects to a brain injury. You know, balance, tiredness. You know, waking up. Do you know what I mean? And just like processing the information is just completely different. So I just basically had to go away from year 9 to 11. But I was still doing, you know, music and I was just like in, you know, like my dad had a workshop down in Box Hill. He sort of take me down there and like, do some woodwork and stuff, and you know, I enjoyed doing that and stuff. Also, that was like kind of a little part of rehab. So obviously using your hands and coordination. So about 10, 11 was sort of secondary school, and then just wasn't just going well at all. And I think so time leading up to that, being talked about going away to a special school, but it's out in Somerset, so it was like boarding. Wow. So but my mum fought for me to have the council like fund going there. So man, she's been very like without a mum.
I was going to say, because it sounds like collectively your family were like, which I'd expect. I mean, I shouldn't expect anything less, to be honest with you. That your family's going to be, you know what? This is my son.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've got to do everything I can to support that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then I was like, nah, boarding school, it's for posh kids. Nah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I couldn't think of anything worse.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
With the glasses as well.
No, I didn't.
You're going to send me to the bloody posh school with my glasses. We're trying to do it. I thought you were trying to help me.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so they, and then because I also like in like the school up till year 9, I was like the doctors, you know, giving me Ritalin or trying some other new thing.
Oh no, flipping it.
And they tried this other new thing. It's like guessing work.
Yeah,
I'm just like, how can you put kids through that, man?
Yeah.
Like.
Wow.
And like Ritalin's pretty much like speed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
try some of that. How was he?
I was in bed for 2 weeks from one of them that they tried me. So I remember that.
Oh no.
Literally, couldn't move out of bed. Like, I was like, how can you do that to kids, man?
And that wasn't like in some ancient times, because it was just around the corner.
Yeah.
Just the other day. It's not like you're like 50. You get what I mean? You're still a young man. So.
Yeah. And like when I went to the school, the special school, in the specialist school, it was like a specialist. It's mainly like dyslexia, but I don't know, all autistic kids and ADHD kids. You know, they did cater for quite a, you know. So then, but yeah, when I went there, they said, "Oh no, you don't need Ritalin over here. It's, you know, it's all like classes of 8 rather than 30." Yeah, it's just it's literally it's the same like GCSEs. It's still the same, but they just
pace it slower.
Teach it to you in a different way.
Okay, right.
So at like school before, they'd just throw your book and then I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just basically rearranging the way that it's taught and maybe the different use of the words that they say it to you and you understand it.
It's interesting that is because for example, maths then,
Yeah.
I only found this out quite recently, is that, so in this country, the way we do maths, or like do multiplication or time, or I don't know, fractions or whatever, we do it in a particular way, yeah? And then I saw something, I think it was on Instagram, a little while back, and I saw this thing in Japan, I think it was Japan, and they do this thing where they do these lines, and you put a number, and you do these lines, and you do that and do that, and then it comes up with a number. And I'm bringing it up because you're saying that the systems that they're using at this school is like a completely different system to what the sort of like national schools are doing. But it was helping you, it was making it easier for you. So then why not use those in the normal schools?
Yeah, because it costs money. That's what it is.
Is that the end? But surely it's like once you implement it,
I know.
It's done.
I know. It's I don't understand it. And also like hearing stuff today, like like if I've heard that like a child like maybe needs to be like maybe needs to have an assessment, but they just it's almost like they want to ignore it and not go through that, and because it would cost money for them to
assess it.
Yeah.
So rather just leave it and let them crack on.
Yeah. And I've heard stuff and I'm just like, this is exactly what was going on back when I was in year 7 and 8. And there's nothing's changed at all. And I think it's been I think I've seen on the government website sometimes they put up what's been talked about and what's been proposed and stuff. And I saw something about ABI in schools and basically just having a better understanding and funding and help for kids with ABI. And it got just dismissed. I'm just like, nothing's changed, man. Nothing's got better.
So I don't understand why they would just do. I mean, crazy.
And now, I mean, obviously it's jumping to now, but basically that school that I went to, it's closed now because of COVID. The
one in Somerset.
Yeah.
They closed it down completely.
Yeah.
So it's never going to be opened again.
It's privately funded, isn't it?
Right. Okay.
And obviously
so all of those kids who were there at that time, they've got nowhere to go back to.
And after that school, I went to one in Winchester. That was I basically could come back every weekend. So it was just a bit better for me because I couldn't stand it over in Somerset. And also, I'll come from South London, come in a short tie, and everyone's just like, they're well strict over there, and and it literally anyway, Addy's like coming. There's only one black kid in the whole of the school. Yeah. Coming, and I've come from multicultural,
that's right,
everything. It's just complete.
So you never got on.
Complete culture shock.
You're just like,
so
mate. Me and you on this one.
Complete culture shock. Yeah. There's about maybe like 5 kids from London and stuff.
And then, and how many years did you do that for? Were you going to that? Or?
So that was from year 9 to 11. So that's for 3 years. It just felt like half my lifetime.
Right,
it's just long, but it's just I mean, it was just I know. It's like looking back, like obviously, like it definitely did. It obviously did benefit me, like giving me confidence in, because even just coming away with GCSE sort of thing and stuff. But at the time, you don't really look at the bigger picture. And
I mean, it sounds to me you were fortunate there because you would have been one of. Listen to what you said. There were only about 4 or 5 people from London, right? So when you think of it, if there are 4 or 5 people from London, look how big London is.
Yeah.
And then you were from a working class family.
Yeah.
You were lucky to be there, mate. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
So it's so unfortunate for the others who don't even know places like that exist.
No, definitely. And the one in Winchester that closed down as well. So it's like I don't know what's out there at the moment. I mean, obviously, I only went there because at the time they there was a certain, I don't know what it's called. I think a certain, they have like they know how to cater for kids with ABI and stuff. So there was only a couple of. There wasn't many in the country, to go
anyway.
to. So it was there. So yeah. But yeah, I mean it was. Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah.
But
well, you know what? Thanks for sharing, because, like I say, like I wouldn't have known any of that about you, Ben. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have known nothing about it, and I actually think that there's the amount of, I never used to hear about dyslexia and ADHD and all of this stuff. I never used to hear a lot of it before. When I say before, like 15, 20 years ago, I hardly even heard the words. Now I hear it every other day. It's like a parent or someone is concerned that perhaps their child might have one of these.
Yeah.
And what support might be available for them, and so quietly there may well be something a lot bigger growing, a bigger problem growing for young people, even older people. Like my friend, she wrote a book recently, and they're saying that even older people who have never ever been diagnosed with these things get to find out later on in their 30s and 40s that they've suffered with it all their life.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one and sad state of affairs, to be honest. You get what I mean? That it's like that.
Yeah, it's sad that in all these years that the same mindset from the education sort of system ain't got better really.
Yeah.
And I mean obviously like my mum, like the reason I'm sure it wouldn't.
What's your mum's name?
Jackie.
Well done, Jackie.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you know what I mean? That's for you, Jackie.
Yeah.
Sat here in this chair, and the hard work that you and your old man put in, and everybody put in, that's what brought him to where he is now.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
100%.
Well done. I mean, Benny, let's fast forward a bit. So you left that school, you've come away with your GCSEs, yeah? You're like, you're a flourishing teenager now, do you know what I mean? And, I can imagine there weren't that much jungle up in Somerset.
Nah, not at all. But it's funny because like when I was like in the schools, I'd still be like on the computers, like obviously like listening to all like drum and bass and jungle still, and obviously watching videos and obviously DJing, and obviously my brother's DJing. I was like, you know what? Because my brother never really let me touch his decks, innit? And then I was like, oh, please teach me. He was like, no, not till you're 10. And then I said, oh, please teach me. No, not till you're 12. And then obviously, moved out. By then
moves out. That's what his plan was. He's like, I'm out of here by the time he gets old enough.
Yeah. So I managed to get hold of him when I was 15. So. And all his
your own decks, you mean?
No, his.
Oh right,
his
yeah.
Okay. He didn't have space for him at where he was. So yeah, and then there's me just going through all the stuff that I used to hear when I was about it's been about 10 years before that. Like and it was just like in memories of this was that tune I remember from.
So are you relating what you're playing on the vinyl to what your brother was playing, or what you were hearing on the tape packs?
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah,
It was more like me sitting on his bed
on his
in his
bed,
room,
yeah.
What he was
and
playing.
he's playing, and now you.
And I was like, oh, that's that tune. Yeah,
right, yeah.
So
that must have been exciting.
Yeah, I remember like Chrome and Time Ganja Man. I had that on. Yeah, so I was just remembered. It's always like little samples that stick out.
Yeah,
it's good, man.
I mean, it's interesting. I've never asked anybody actually what it was like growing up. I've never asked that question. You know that. I've never asked the question. What was it like growing up in the jungle era?
Oh right.
Yeah, I've never asked it because.
Oh right. Yeah.
Even because I've never had to ask it to anyone
Yeah.
because everybody's been sort of like my age.
Yeah.
But what was it
Yeah.
like growing up at that time?
Well, I mean,
for you,
I mean, it was
know?
only sort of seeing and hearing what my brother was playing, really, and I don't know. I mean, he was just going around his mate's house and like house parties. Now, he didn't really sort of go into the clubs.
Right, yeah. So I get you. So basically, your experience of jungle could only have been from what you were listening to in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Right, I'm with you. Yeah.
And then because obviously I was going through school and at that special school, like they didn't do music
At all, yeah.
So I was just like and then or there'll be like lessons, but you have to go somewhere else to like drum lessons. So, but yeah, there was a point where I was playing violin, trumpet, and piano and drums.
And you had to read music and everything.
Yeah.
No way.
So
I wouldn't have you down for that,
yeah.
Benny. I would not have you down for like 6 foot, what, 5?
6'2".
6'2", violin playing, piano playing.
Yeah, violin was the first one there's a picture of me. This proper like my mum's got. It's me on the potty with a little violin.
Excellent.
Keep that one away.
Yeah. I'll see if I can sneak that one out somehow.
You met her at Sun and Bass because I bought
No, I wasn't there.
No,
I didn't go. Yeah, I didn't go.
I think 2017
Yeah,
was that?
no, I didn't go.
No. That was the first time she saw me. As well.
Right, play out as well. Yeah.
This was on
That's
the beat,
nice,
the centre. So that was the first time she's ever seen me like
performing.
And stuff,
like,
I've got all the legends there. Like, oh, your son, man. I remember.
Must have been well proud.
Fabio having a good conversation with her, and she's always asked about how each other are and stuff.
Yeah.
But she's proper like it clocks like.
Yeah.
All
your
them,
mummy's
all them
boy.
years, do it, Dan.
Yeah. I think we've all been through that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's not one DJ who's lived at home DJing whose mum hasn't said turn it down.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, but it was worth it in the end, worth it. In the end.
Definitely. And I mean, it was like obviously because like when she saw me on that stage, in her mind, it's like I just see that the kid, the Ben from the accident, little.
That's right.
That
She must have thought that.
That couldn't really, that didn't talk or walk in a straight line.
I bet I wouldn't be surprised if she shed a little tear at that
point.
point.
No, she did. Yeah, she definitely did. Yeah, the whole set for me.
100%. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're back from Somerset, right?
Yeah.
You're back from Somerset. You've got your brother's record collection, but this time now you're playing it on. I'd imagine you're just playing it on one turntable or something like that.
Well, I mean, I had both.
Oh, you did have your own decks by then.
Trying to work it out, and I didn't even know about. I was like, my brother come over one time. I was like, what? Like, there's no bass. Like, surely there should be bass in it. It was like, you ain't got the grounds in it. It's like the wire, like plug everything else in, but you didn't think of the bass had that. I was like, so but I mean, I was trying to figure it out really, but just mainly just going through the collection and just
So then, you mentioned earlier, like before your brother left, that you had the family computer, the Fruity Loops was on there, and you were like toying around with like making music at that time. Like how did that develop into the Benio we know now?
So that I mean, it was like I did figure Fruit Loops out, and then I was just messing about really, but when I went to the school in Winchester, I was there for 2 years, and the second year they'd done a music tech course, so that and they had Cubase, and so I got a copy of Cubase on my laptop, and then started doing stuff on there, and then I was just got into it more, and I was always watching videos on YouTube and hearing all the sets, and I was actually even just keeping tabs on the raves that was happening outside. So So I'd been, that was when I was in Somerset as well. So like from sort of 14 onwards, I was still like looking at what's that fabric tonight?
Yeah.
I see all the players like, you know what I mean, nights going on and stuff, and my mate Jamie is from Newcastle, but he joined when I was in like year 10. Sorry to go back.
That's
a
all right.
bit.
No, don't go for it. Yeah,
but yeah, so he's from like Newcastle, but I got him on the drum and bass. He loved it, and and even Graham as well. Do you know what I mean? I was like, we was looking at like all the YouTube videos like Devin, Wiley, like Jamie. Do you know what I mean? He's obviously, he got into that as well. So it was all just sharing that, and then I think one weekend when we went back, I was like, state of mind, we'll try the I think who was playing there, man? I think it must have been I think a players' night maybe. Hype was playing in the Fridge, which is electric now.
Yeah.
So I was like, why don't we try and get in there? And then so we've come back to mine. Obviously done the whole thing about lying where we're going.
Yeah.
We got the train to Brixton, and then it was like complete like
getting closer to the door.
Yeah, complete in-betweeners moment, right? And like and they've basically, and obviously there was time when, you got to have IDs or look old, it wasn't like, if you look old enough you can go in.
Yeah.
So we get to the door, what ID? No. Went
Go on,
terrible.
mate. Go on, mate.
Terrible. Yeah. So I mean, Jamie, mate, I haven't seen you since then. So if you're watching, hit me up,
You'll
mate.
watch. You'll be watching.
It's been years. Yeah. So since I left there, I haven't really
seen him again.
So
yeah. Well, do you think he knows you of who you are?
Yeah, must be.
So you said that you got Cubase, and you was toying around with Cubase. How old are you then, around that time?
Okay, dead. So that was like, so that was when I was like second, like year sixth form. So that was like
right. So you were still in
18,
school.
maybe,
Okay, right. Yeah. Okay, so 18.
17, 18, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so that's like we're talking about just over 10 years ago. Yeah, just over 10 years ago. So then, I mean, again, I mentioned it earlier, and I think this is probably about the right time to bring it up about Vanta Black and the way how it impacted the scene, because there was no record like that, not one record, bruv, like that. Do you get what I mean? And for those of you out there who don't know Vanta Black, a lot of you won't know. I mean, a lot of you might not even know who Benny L is. For whatever reason, you might be from a different school altogether. But look it up, yeah? Benny L, Vanta Black. Listen to this record, and you'll see now you'll get context with what I'm talking about. And so until that time, right? Until that time, although I think I may have heard your name, I don't know whether I can't be 100% certain that I'd had heard it because of the rumblings of Vanta Black coming up. Do you understand what I mean? It was almost as though I heard the name before I heard the record. Do you know what I mean? And I just kept on hearing and it's a wicked name as well. Yeah. Vanta Black. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, Goldie Cart.
He came up with the name.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Big up, G.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah, so I think that's what it was. I mean, I could be mistaken. My memory doesn't serve me as well as it used to back in the day, but that's how I think I remember it.
That's 2007. No, I made it in 2016, 17.
2016.
Yeah,
well, no, it might be right, you know. Yeah, no. Well, then maybe that's what it is, because I was doing other things in 2016. Do you know what I mean? I was doing other things in 2016. It was only in 2018 that essentially I kind of like started to have another look in. Do you get what I mean? And so, and I don't think it was released by then, was it?
No, it took a bit of time.
Yeah. It took a while. Do you know what I mean? And so imagine you made that then, And over 2 years later, it still wasn't released. So maybe I'm right
yeah,
that I was
that is
hearing
just
your
that,
name, hearing your name before I'd even heard the record. And yeah, going back to what I was saying beforehand about this, the whole aspect of it not sounding like the person who I met. You know, like it sounds like. It sounds, I don't know, it sounds like soundscape. It sounds like something like from a movie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was and for me as well, I don't know, you know, excuse my ignorance and, you know, don't shoot me because I might have made a mistake or whatever, but it was also, I think that it was the first time that I'd heard, I know we're going to get a bit geeky as well with it, but I think it was the first time I kind of like started to hear just like the little kind of snare on its own.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And it's just like, it's very empty and whatever. And walk me through that. Do you know what I mean? Like, how did you get from Fruity Loops to an 18-year-old boy with a crack copy of Cubase to a record like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, yeah. Back like when I was sort of like 16. No, 16 would be them. But even from like 16 to 18, I was like, yeah, I fancied doing like DJing and and also nowadays you've got to make tunes to be able to DJ. So then obviously like, and I always was like hearing tunes, and I've always just feel, oh, how do they make that? Like how do they make them them sounds? So I was always like proper intrigued about it. So yeah, and then so after like sixth form, I couldn't wait to get out of school. Like, just had enough of it. Like, yeah, just done with the education system. So, but yeah, I was thinking, well, where can I sort of like learn this music, making music. Also to DJ as well, like, because I was still like, I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? So I needed someone to just walk me through a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went to Bristol to a music academy place called NGM, and done a year's course, and then you can stay there and help teach, and then that'll pay for your studio time and to use the facilities after. So I went to Bristol. I was in Bristol, Thornbury. So also it's Christian as well. So it was sort of, you know, there's a lot of work in the community and stuff, but it was just small. Yeah, but it's not like a proper intense like qualification course and stuff. You know, it's just, you know, learning it. And
I mean, it's a long way to go to go. I say it's a long way to go, but if you didn't have any uni aspirations yet, you want to do a bit of music. Yeah. It's like a bloody world. I mean, it's not.
It's pretty much like going uni, but without.
Without going uni. Yeah, that's right. Without it being a music. So it is.
It's sort of the same around time. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I went there, you know, and I was the only one doing the DJ and production course, and Leon.
Happy days.
Yeah. So it was 1-on-1, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was, and Leon, who was the tutor. So his air shots, and so yeah, he taught me. He was using Ableton, so he showed me Ableton, and then it progressed from there. And also at the same time, Ross and Dan from Medics, who signed to Audio Porn, that year, they used the same studios as well. So that was always like out around the place, and I seeing from my earliest tunes, because what I was making before I was just figuring it out really. So you know, Leon showed me, you know, the ropes and placed the mess that I had.
Yeah.
It was like, oh no, this is there, and then.
And as soon as you start to build some structure in what you're doing,
basically, yeah. Even with the DJing, do you know what I mean? just
Wow.
focused. Like,
Wow.
So
So you owe a lot to Leon.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
And his
Big up, Leon.
Yeah, man. He's doing the film stuff as well.
Oh,
So
wow,
he'll be out and about with me, and I'll introduce.
Yeah, please.
to
Yeah,
him.
it'd be nice to see him. Yeah.
So, but yeah, basically, so then obviously that year happened, and then I think towards the end of the year, I made a tune. Well, it wasn't even a tune, it was just like the idea. It was Speakers Vibrate, and I played it to Ross and Dan, and they was like, "Oh, that's like," there was like the first tune that was like, "Oh, that's clicking now, yeah, you're getting it." So then it ended up being a collab with them and Copper on it, and because they sent it to Shimon, because they just signed with Audio Porn at the time. So it was like, "Oh yeah, that tune, like, yeah, what's that?" And yeah, so we've done it with my mate. I was 6. So then that's how I introduced to Shimon.
Yeah.
And
Big up Shimon.
Yeah, man.
Do you know what I mean? Shimon's an original.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's an original.
Yeah.
So then now you're really getting your feet in the door. You know that you know that your music's kind of like coming together, and the years are rolling by. Do you know what I mean? At which point was it that you said to yourself, right, about the idea of building? I mean, I'm sorry to keep going back to Vanta Black, but it's my opportunity to find out about it. Do you get what I mean? And also I think that it might not be everybody's cup of tea. You know what I mean? I mean, I've had people like say, like, you know, like they're into this and they're into that and they're into this. And I actually did a post the other day, and I said, like, you know, like, it doesn't have to have a ragga sample or anything in it to be jungle for me. Do you get what I mean? To me, jungle is anything that I like.
Yeah.
Anything that I like. I call it jungle. Do you know what I mean? You know, like, everybody else might call it drum and bass, or you might call it this, that, and the other, but it is.
The vibe and feeling that you associate with.
And that record, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a madness. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's kind of mad.
So yeah, that came about when I was
smoking some hard weed. No, not really.
I'll tell you what though, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, actually. But yeah, so by this time I moved out and was in a flat in like Penge.
Yeah.
And then I was on the bottom floor, and I had the set up in the back room, and then and I was just and also by that time I was sort of getting into my hardware a little bit, and you know, I started to voltage about what to get, you know, and he said, "I'll start off with a valve EQ," and I actually bought Voltage's Virus C off him as well.
Okay.
So, because I actually like made it for Inja to jump on, and then.
So you made it for him originally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then,
I thought that was just an afterthought.
No. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'll put a tune for you." Yeah.
Right.
Like,
okay.
But the thing is, it was like the original idea was different, innit?
Okay.
So yeah, then a few versions later, then it became
what it is, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I remember, I sent it to Randall, and yeah, he sent it to Goldie. He was like,
Goldie jumped all over
it.
Yeah.
But by then, I mean, I'd done maybe 3 EPs.
Yeah.
By that time, and you know,
so you were about, but this was the game changer. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
for a lot of people. Anyway,
Yeah.
certainly for me.
Yeah.
I think you've come. I mean, you answered my questions because I was just like, where did it come from? Do you know what I mean? Considering, considering like the emptiness of it, and I'm sorry to people listening who might be like, oh, listen, just get on with it. But I just wanted to speak about that record. I've always wanted to ask you. I've always wanted to ask you about it because, like, I remember. I've got a video of it actually on the stage at Wembley.
Oh yeah, with Andy.
With Andy, yeah.
City Life.
Inner City Life.
Oh yeah, man.
And it was just like.
I remember I was in Canada at the time.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's would have been like evening time when I was over there, seeing all the videos on what's going on. Like, and this was like pretty much as it happens.
Yeah,
so I was
exactly.
like, hang on, the rave's still going on, and I'm seeing these videos.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't have been my one. My one was, I think it was the following day or whenever. But yeah, man, do you know what I mean? The mix he did with it, and the mix he did after it. Do you know what I mean? It was just wicked. Man. Yeah, it was wicked. So Ben, I mean, that was a big moment. Do you get what I mean? And I think like, there's always something that comes along that kind of like, you know what I mean, pushes you into another sort of like gear, you get what I mean? And I know that with everything you've done since then and whatever, you've started your own label now. So tell me a little bit about that as well. So the new label's called Tres 2B Music. Sounds a bit French. Tres 2B, do you know what I mean? It's a little bit French. But go on, carry on.
So basically it's...
Well, I say it French, but...
Yeah. But yeah, I love like space and the sci-fi films and stuff. It's a big influence. So when I heard about this planet called Tres 2B, it's the darkest planet that's been discovered. So and it's all this sci-fi and alien stuff, and I'm just into that, innit? So.
Right then. So Ben, we spoke about the record label. We spoke about Vanta Black and what have you, and I mean we're coming close to the end of the interview stroke conversation. I don't like to call them interviews, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? It's like just two mates having a chat, and but I just wanted to get your view on the sort of like your view on the state of the music at the moment. And when I say state, I don't mean that negatively. I mean the position, then, I should say, of the music at the moment. And what's your views on that?
I mean, it's in a good place. I mean, it's in a good place. It's just I think after the shutdown, it's changed a bit. But I think it's just down to the maybe because like the younger like 18, 19-year-olds now, I had 2 years without going to raves, so they know the music through TikTok or streaming, so they'll seem to react to if they know, if you play a tune, and they'll. This is only in like the raves where it's mostly a younger crowd, but it seems like they won't quite react the same way if they don't know or
a record,
the tune through a video or vibe or something. So I think it's just how it's sort of changed, because obviously with knowing music through, I'm like from my brother, but then I've still when I got to 18, I went out and experienced it fully. So I think that's just changed.
Yeah, I've never thought of it like that.
Age group at the moment.
Yeah.
But,
never thought of it like
that. This is just just trying to knock them down, not get not think about it, just
crack
music
on with it.
And,
And then also, I mean, that's a good point actually. I mean, during did you find yourself being more sort of productive during the lockdown and stuff?
I mean, it was hard because obviously, I'll be making a tune all week and something, and then we'll just try not to think about, you can't test out the weekend. It's like,
So I suppose it must be nice to be back then.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's just, I've dedicated my whole life to doing this, and obviously, like the raves are a happy place as well. Do you know what I mean? So when that's taken away, it's
I mean, even more so in your case. Do you get what I mean? Like when you think about I mean, I say in your case, you know what I mean? You're just like an example that I know of. But I mean, the amount of people I speak to who it is their escape.
Yeah, definitely.
It is their escape, and it's somewhere where they can go where no one's going to be judging them. No one's going to be, you don't have to think about, I don't know, that bill or that thing that's happening with your brother's wife's cousin's uncle, or that thing you don't have to worry about all of that. You get in, you have that time, and even more so if you're involved in it by virtue of like making music or, in some other creative endeavour. It's a safe place. It's a safe place.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing is, the reason why I'm making music, because I wasn't really great at expressing myself in other, like talking or other. Do you know what I mean? So that's like me expressing myself. So.
I mean, I think that's brilliant. I think that even with the fact of how much progress you've made from the traditional treatment then, that you've come out from all of that, do you know what I mean? And like, I mean, I would never have known. Like I said, I'd never have known about the challenges you faced after the accident. And certainly you would not have known by listening to the music that you've made. Do you know what I mean? So testament, it's turned however you've turned it around, and with the help of your mum's support and everybody else and your parents and stuff, you've come out in a good place, mate, Joe. So,
Yeah, man.
Benny, thanks for joining us here today. You know what I mean? It's been an amazing story. I mean, another surprise story. Do you know what I mean? They keep on coming. Do you know what I mean? These stories, but yours is particularly different about the fact that this has happened to you at such a young age, and the years spent trying to get out of it, So well done, mate. Do you know what I mean? And also, before we go, actually, what do you think about us for this season and fourth position, Benny?
Yeah, of course.
What do you think about that?
Well, Thursday's big old day, innit?
Well,
I bet we'll get it.
Yeah. By the time this comes out, by the time you actually see this, we would have beat Tottenham at home. Right?
We better do that.
Thanks for joining us.
Nice one, mate. Appreciate it, bro.
Nice one, brother. Cheers. And that's a wrap.